listen, I will say this much for Krystal and Ryan. They let Kshama talk, which is something that not everybody does. So she was able to get certain points across, but the entire framing of almost 90% of the conversation was about DSA and Mamdani. As far as I'm concerned, the only primary framing of this entire conversation had to do with the fact that she is running for Congress, regardless if she's doing it as an independent or not, against the person who co-authored the bill to merge the U.S. and Israeli militaries together. That should have been the start of the conversation. That should have been the end of the conversation. And it was anything but the conversation.
They didn't bring it up at all, right? Did they bring him
They
up
brought
at
it
all?
up ever so haphazardly at the beginning of the conversation. And even then, it wasn't good enough. It was, I'm telling you, I timed it. It's 3 minutes. That's how long they talked about it for a 45-minute conversation.
But you know why? Why they focused on DSA and Mamdani?
Because the organization felt the pressure to get her on. And then once they decided to have her on, they got their talking points about what you're going to discuss, because we know who's writing your checks. And so once that decision was made, the conversation basically became a referendum on the fact that she's running as an independent, that it's not the most sound strategy, that she should make nice with the Dems and become a member of the DSA, or that the DSA is doing a great job. Two things can be true. The DSA has been doing good work on behalf of Mamdani with the elections of 4 new congressional representatives that might likely form a caucus, if you will, not a squad, but likely a more Democratic Socialist type of caucus that might actually hold votes up. You see, that would be something.
I'm glad that's a case where it works in Kshama's favor, that she can just go on and on and on. Because I wouldn't have let either of them get a word in edgewise either about their Mamdani DSA shit. What the fuck does that have to do with the price of tea in China, Krystal?
And listen, and we're friendly with Ryan. So this is the thing about politics that people seem to forget. It doesn't matter if you're friendly with somebody, if you're ideologically off on something and you know that this is more important, and that's what you support. We are supporting Kshama Sawant because she's the most consequential candidate running right now. She's running against an absolute treasonous son of a bitch. She is running against somebody who is trying to destroy this country. This is a guy who's been in office longer than most of you have been alive.
And yet that's who everyone seems to want to platform. Mm-hmm. And it's seemingly even the people that claim that they want something different. So,
and again, the whole time she basically had to continue to defend the fact that the Democratic Party is never going to cave. They are going to always be based on corporate special interests and super delegates in the whole nine. They are going to destroy themselves, which they might very well do. It's not going to take very long. The Democratic Party is trying to figure out a backup to Newsom, and that backup is Jon Ossoff. Jon Ossoff, who is a smooth son of a bitch in his own right, is also a Zionist. He doesn't support Medicare for all, or even forget it. Stop saying Medicare for all. It's single payer. That's what it is. So, support single payer. He is not against war. He is not for, again, forget the Green New Deal. Just say you're for a clean energy grid. You can't even say that. You can't even redirect it. And people are saying—
he's like dry toast.
Yeah, well, he's like talking like this back in 20.
Like dry toast.
Oh, and again, this is the point. There's a thing called manufacturing consent in politics, and no one does it better than the Democrats. You know why? Because the Democratic base of voters tend to basically bend the knee, whereas the GOP base of voters tell you to get fucked or we will fuck you. So that's the difference. Now, of course, there's a lot to not like about that, because so much of it is based on hateful rhetoric that doesn't solve any economic problems in this country. But if you really want to solve some of those economic problems, Kshama Sawant is the person who will cause a stir on Capitol Hill if she gets there. So as far as I'm concerned, just listening to the interview, if you are going to have Kshama Sawant on and you are going to basically devote no time to highlighting her record, to talking about how Adam Smith is absolutely got to go, which never came out of their mouths, then you kind of are being guardians at the gate for Capitol and the establishment.
What made you think they weren't? Because they just caved in and had her on when they clearly didn't want to, but they basically caved because they saw that their ass was showing. So did you really think that she was going to get the same kind of treatment? Because there's no way that Adam Smith, that his team and his people would tolerate that. And then that would deny them further access.
It took Kshama until about the 38th minute of the conversation for her to finally, yeah, she said Kshama. I caught that as well. And I'm not going to say she did that.
Really? Krystal? That's what you're going to, like, really?
So
That's
well, maybe it was intentional, maybe it wasn't, I can't say. Point is that it took until about the last 10 minutes of the conversation for Kshama to finally figure out that she has to redirect the conversation. So when they ask her a question about DSA and Mamdani and how they're winning and this is the right way, she finally figured out, oh no, I've got to answer the question by redirecting it back to my campaign and redirecting it back to the fact that I am running against Adam Smith, and you're not going to love everybody that runs for office. Again, this is the same argument that I would make against why people don't necessarily love Roger Waters, because Roger Waters, unfortunately, is a very gruff asshole in many instances, but he is somebody who literally has put his life on the line to fight for justice around the world in a way that very few people that have ever gotten to his level. Roger Waters is the lead singer of Pink fucking Floyd. This guy is on the level of the Stones. He's on the level of Springsteen. He's on the level of anybody else that you could think of that made it to the top in the music industry. And he uses his platform for absolute good. And yet people want to debate whether or not he's good or not, or they don't like him. And then I have to read the fucking comments from people talking about, Kshama's not the most likable person in the world. Again.
Are you looking for friends?
What are you
Let me direct you elsewhere. Okay. Politicians and people that are running, and they're not there to be your friend. They're there to fight.
Correct.
And if they were really all that nice and amenable and genial, they probably really wouldn't be that much of a fighter. And they certainly wouldn't label themselves a revolutionary socialist.
Correct.
So the kind of people that get offended by demeanor and by that, those are fucking snowflakes, and they need to get out of the way. Get out of the fucking way.
And again, like I said, it's one thing.
You don't like her.
And let me tell you, I would not have had any problem, and Krystal and Ryan, if either of you hear this, I would have had no problem if you devoted 10, heck, even 15 minutes of the conversation to defending DSA and defending Mamdani. You made it almost the entire conversation.
Yeah, of course. That's what's going to get them clicks, and that's what their donors and sponsors want to see content of.
Like that's just not acceptable, and you know it. And so when I saw Nick Cruz of RBN going off on them, I'm thinking, all right, maybe he's because he's a militant brother, so sometimes he may take things.
He is also a revolutionary socialist.
So I was like, all right, when I got to listen to this whole thing, and so I listened to it, I'm like, oh, he's right. I mean, they basically. It wasn't even so much they tried to sandbag her. It's that they were just doing everything to avoid talking about what needed to be talked about. And that's the problem.
Why I know that when people project themselves to be one thing, but then do something else, they're a grifter.
Yeah.
They're a grifter. How do you cover her and not cover her policies and her issues and her scorecard? Like, how do you do that? What's the point?
And
at the end of the day, let's be very real. And this, I haven't watched Breaking Points in years. They're nothing but a shepherd for the Democratic Party. They're just trying to sheepdog you back into the Democratic Party. And they think that by giving you this false hope about the DSA and Mamdani wing being so successful that they're going to have such an impact on the party, don't leave the party because this is new. We're finally getting it together with the DSA part. They're just sheepdogging you right back into the party that goes nowhere. And it's embarrassing. Honestly, Krystal should be embarrassed for herself.
And Krystal, when Krystal brought up the idea that, and I'm in favor of third parties, Krystal, if there ever was an opportunity to support a third party candidate, it is in this race, because not just because Kshama has won elections, she is viable, she has raised money, she is an independent, and this is a jungle primary. This isn't a Democratic primary where, running as an independent makes it almost impossible to get to the general and be viable. This is a legitimate opportunity to get an independent to the general, and I think she's got a really good chance.
I agree, Noah. I agree.
That's the real problem. But that doesn't mean that, again, this is why everything is based on very specific conversation when it comes to a given candidate, when it comes to a given situation. Here's what I know for certain. Is that right now, what you have is a situation where she's running a very important race in Washington's 9th, and then you have, it's distracting me, Jen, please. Then what you also have is this exceptionally important race in Michigan right now. And yes, one of the two candidates happens to be a Democrat, and Abdul El-Sayed is doing a fantastic job. On the other hand, he's running against an absolutely detestable scumbag of a candidate who fully embraces the fact that she's basically the Wicked Witch of the West. And here's proof of that.
Okay, some of you have seen, there's those cool kids on the internet. They're doing the cool kid chatter. Some of them might be the coastal elites making fun of how I talk.
No, you're doing that on your own.
No, they're making fun of you for being an idiot and a corporate whore. The way you talk is just annoying. And you kind of look like a troll, but that's another story. And I don't mean it in like an evil troll way. I mean like those little troll dolls. Like she kind of actually looks like one of those trolls to me.
Well, she did the meme. She was rubbing her hands together. But here is an outline of all of the corporate special interests that have been funding her campaign. This isn't even getting into the fact that tens of millions of dollars from the pro-Israel lobby has hit her campaign in the last month. Then you also have Commandant Clyburn in the back, blessing, Haley for Flint and Detroit. Then you have Governor Whitmer, who is planning on running for president.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that, Gretchen. Those crazy eyes.
By the way, do you know that Gretchen is the heir? It's amazing what you discover once you really dig in on this. Gretchen Whitmer is the heir to the Blue Cross Blue Shield fortune.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Very interesting. And so Haley Stevens makes herself a completely unlikable character. But here's the thing. I also think she's doing this because I think she's extremely thin-skinned. And I think the way she talks is absolute BS. I don't know where she picked up that accent. It is not from Michigan. You listen to anybody who's from there, they will tell you that is BS. We do not talk like that. And yet, this is how she conducts business.
Not okay. Not okay. Says my governor. But let's be real. They're making fun of Michigan.
No, they're not. They're making fun of you with the helium Cabbage Patch voice.
People in Michigan do not talk like this. And for our friend who is also the producer for Status Quo, Whitmer is the reason Flint, Michigan is still poisoned and is responsible for the poisoning of Black residents in Kalamazoo. And yet she's up there touting Stevens along with Clyburn, and they got all the money and all the establishment. That's why
honestly, just that screenshot with her donors should be enough for anybody to understand how this works. Like, so that's absurd. Look at that. Look at that.
They're thinking they're better than us. And what they don't know is I am your voice.
Oh,
and
God, no, don't be my voice.
And their criticism only makes me fight harder.
Oh my God, go away, troll.
Now, would you like to see?
Yeah.
Now, would you like to see the real face of Gretchen Whitmer? Or excuse me, let's not. Do you want to see the real face of Haley Stevens?
I don't want to see that either.
I'm going to preempt this for you. Okay,
this happened.
No, this happened over the weekend.
Uh-oh.
And the gentleman's name is Jay Singletary. Okay. He's a community organizer who actually is supporting El-Sayed.
Okay.
Listen to what he has to say. Watch Stevens.
That's awesome.
One, I did already vote, early voted. Somebody is going to win. I do not want Mike Rogers to win. And whoever it is, like I said, it's not an issue. It's not a candidate issue. It's a human rights issue.
Yeah, right. What's your full name?
If any candidate who ever ran for office made a face like that at me, first of all, I wouldn't let it go. And it should be talked about relentlessly. I want you to watch her face when he says, because again, what's his issue here? His issue.
I didn't hear we kind of came in the middle of the conversation. So how does she know that he didn't vote for her? He must have just said that.
Correct. But
he must have just said, I voted for Abdul El-Sayed.
That's awesome.
One, I did already vote, early voted. Somebody is going to win. I do not want Mike Rogers to win. And whoever it is, like I said, it's not an issue. It's not a candidate issue. It's a human rights issue.
Yeah, right. Jai, what's your full name?
Jai,
Yeah, right.
J-I, Singletary, S-I-N-G.
All right, now, guys.
See you.
Bye. See you tonight.
How old are you?
I'm 31.
They're getting him to sign a release for his video.
I was in-
I'm sorry, I missed the top of this, but you were, is it the neighborhood?
Yeah, so I kind of answered, I put one hat on, Executive Director of Woodbridge Neighborhood Development.
Okay.
And my second hat, I've been living in the city of Detroit since 2019. I've been a resident of Michigan since 2017.
And you already voted early.
I did.
Absentee, which
Yeah, I get a ABB. Yeah, absolutely not.
for Electoral.
I did.
And so why did you want to be here to talk to?
Because, like I said, it's not a candidate issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a candidate issue. I think this is, no matter who wins, no matter who loses, because it's not like it's going to go away.
Yeah.
I know I sound like a broken record. Those 6-year-olds that I coach here, they're just as precious as the 6-year-olds in Palestine. And
Huh. That's fascinating. Haley, maybe there's just people that are not really up with the genocide. He's just not down with that. Like, it's not his thing. Right? So you roll your eyes when he says that it's not a personal politician issue. It's not a candidate issue. It's a human rights issue. I would suggest it's both, because the fact that she's a disgusting candidate that supports a genocide makes it be a candidate issue. Makes it personal to me.
Remember, Israel comes to her in her dreams, and even if that is not true, here's what we know for sure. Haley Stevens is a narcissistic sociopath. She wants that power. She doesn't care about anything else. That's why she so gleefully accepts that money. And the reason she's accepting it is because she knows that Al Said was running laps around her before all of that extra money came in. Now, will it make the difference? I personally believe in my heart that Said, and my head, that Said is going to win because he is a vastly superior candidate. Vastly superior.
Yeah.
Like, she's a joke compared to him. That's why I put it in the title that she's a clown, which she is. This is a person, let me assure you, ladies and gentlemen.
They're different leagues.
Correct.
They're in completely different leagues. She looks like she's running for junior high school class president, not even high school. And he basically has the grace and the composition of somebody that's running for a national office. That's how ridiculous this looks.
Oh, hot dog. Not many will get the reference, but I do. That's Pennsylvania. That's not Michigan. Anyway, if Said doesn't win this election, he's going to go back to doing what he does. He's a doctor. If Stevens loses this election, she's going to go get herself a job on K Street. Or maybe she will get her good friend Whitmer to give her a lobbying job on behalf of Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Whitmer might need that job for herself.
Maybe.
So.
But I think Whitmer is counting on the idea that she's at least vice presidential material, if nothing else. So,
well, she's vice presidential candidate material. That's very plausible, but not actual vice president material.
But trust me, we're already getting the OSOF AOC chatter.
Oh,
yeah, that's getting around.
Huh?
it just absolutely breaks my heart when I see limbs missing, children. They're having to play soccer on crutches with no legs, having to live lives, and I feel like my country is directly responsible for those actions.
Don't feel, Jay, don't feel. We are responsible. We all bear responsibility for all of this. We are. And you're not wrong.
It needs to stop.
What do you make of this interaction that you just had?
What do I make of it? I mean, again, she's not a devil to me, you know? She's somebody that could potentially win this seat. And I wanted an opportunity to speak with somebody about an issue. And I have no Palestinian blood in me. It's just, I have to believe what I see. I have to believe what I see. So about the interaction, it was fine. It was cordial. We got to talk about both. I tried my best to talk about both sides of what I care about in my professional work, but also as a person. Yeah.
Will you vote, if Haley wins the primary, will you vote for her in a general?
Likely, yeah.
I'm curious.
That's not a yes. That's not a yes. But let me assure you, there is one thing I want you all to remember about this election, and do not forget this. If El Said wins, the Democratic establishment is going to move heaven and earth to get Mike Rogers elected to the Senate and the GOP.
They
And
will
that
be
means-
supporting their money, their PACs will be supporting the Republican in Michigan.
1,000%. And if that means,
So they might cover their tracks.
oh yeah, but if that
They
means
might
that
make it look like it's not them that's doing it, but they will support the Republican against him. And that means like their same donors, their same PACs will then focus just like they did in California when Schiff had that whole bullshit thing going on there with the jungle primary.
That is correct. And that, of course, is exactly why this is, I do not want people to misunderstand. There is a reason why Oliver Larkin is not getting as much pushback, because they know what's waiting in the wings if for whatever reason it doesn't end up happening. And the same is true here. They want Haley Stevens because they know she's a yes woman who will do what she's told. And if it doesn't work out that way, the Democratic establishment, this is why we say when push comes to shove, it's not just about Israel, it's about corporate special interests that control this country and control the world. When that is what's on the table, there is no such thing as a two-party system. There is a uni-party that controls it all. And if you're foolish enough to still think that this is a red-blue divide, you're wasting your time.